Mr. Hazelwood, when and why did you become or decide to support the Republican Party?
When I was young, I was always interested in history and foreign affairs and politics. And for me, it was Ronald Reagan and the Cold War was the motivating factor. So I'm a big believer back then of anti-communism was a big motivator for me, but also a believer in free enterprise and opportunity.
Okay, and right now the pre-elections are going on. Who do you think will win the pre-elections and why?
Mitt Romney is almost certain to be the nominee right now. The party is beginning to rally around him, and he's the one winning the elections right now.
And in case he wins the pre-election, do you think he has a big chance to win the final election against Obama?
You first have to say that every American president has the advantages in getting reelected. So in one sense you'd say Obama has an inbuilt advantage, but right now the state of the country, the economy, and how voters perceive President Obama and perceive the Republicans, there's a real opportunity. So it's incredibly close right now. We're looking at one of our famously close elections in the United States, and I think at this point Romney has the advantage.
And so Obama has been a president for a couple of years now.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think was his best decision and what was his worst decision?
I think his best decision was clearly a lot of his foreign policy, particularly authorizing the military to go in and kill Osama bin Laden. I think that was one of his big successes. It showed, and in a lot of areas in foreign policy, he's been willing to reflect on some of his campaign speeches. And now that he's in the real world and now that he's president, to adjust them to reality. I think the biggest mistakes he's made is for all of his hope and change and be a transformational president, he governed for the first year in particular as a very partisan president. He, for a variety of reasons, decided to back Nancy Pelosi and the Congressional Democratic Party, and they embarked on policies of cap and trade, of the health care law, and of the stimulus bill that rather than being built in a consensus format, which would have been healthier for the country, they decided to ram them down the throats of the American people and unnecessarily polarized the electorate and also, frankly, made each of those policies much, much worse. And there's many examples on all of them.
And what's interesting for us, because we are journalists, how important is the good connection between the candidates and the journalists, or the connection between the consultants and the journalists?
It's critical to have a good relationship back and forth. Some people often say it's a symbiotic relationship. We both live off of each other. We need stories, and the press needs information and access. And so that symbiotic relationship back and forth is critical to the success. And so both sides can do business, if you will, in the sense of transferring information back and forth to be successful.